You feel strange, disconnected. This is why. Not because you are necessarily broken, not because you are losing your mind, and not because life suddenly became meaningless. Sometimes the strangest seasons begin when the old version of your inner life no longer fits, but the new one has not fully formed yet. That space feels disorienting because it is neither comfort nor clarity. It is transition. A person in spiritual awakening often feels removed from what used to feel normal. Familiar habits stop satisfying. Conversations feel thinner. Success feels flatter. Noise becomes harder to tolerate. You do not always know what is happening, only that something in you has stopped being able to live on the old level without tension. And that is exactly why awakening rarely feels spiritual at first. It often feels like confusion, like distance, like your soul quietly refusing to go back to sleep. The first sign is disconnection from what used to excite you. Things that once kept you busy, entertained, motivated, or emotionally occupied begin losing their grip. You may still participate, still show up, still smile, still function. But inside, something has gone quiet. This can feel frightening because many people mistake it for depression, failure, or emotional numbness. But sometimes it is not emptiness. It is detachment from what no longer feeds the deeper part of you. Awakening often begins not with vision, but with dissatisfaction. The soul starts withdrawing its energy from what it can no longer honestly call life-giving, and when that happens, the world may look the same on the outside, while feeling radically different inside your own chest. The second sign is that you begin questioning everything you once accepted automatically. Beliefs, identity, goals, relationships, values. The life you were building may start feeling strangely borrowed, as if parts of it were assembled from expectation rather than truth. This is one of the most uncomfortable signs because it destabilizes the structures that once helped you feel safe. But questioning is not always rebellion. Sometimes it is integrity waking up. A spiritual awakening does not merely give new answers. It often removes false certainty first. It asks whether what you call yours was ever truly chosen by your soul. And that process can feel brutal because before life becomes more aligned, it usually becomes more honest. The third sign is heightened sensitivity. Noise feels louder. Certain people exhaust you faster. False energy becomes harder to tolerate. You may start sensing atmospheres more deeply, noticing tension before anyone names it, or reacting strongly to spaces that once felt neutral. This can make awakening feel inconvenient instead of beautiful, but sensitivity is not always weakness. Sometimes it is perception returning after a long period of inner dullness. When the soul becomes more awake, it also becomes less able to digest what is chaotic, manipulative, hollow, or spiritually heavy without noticing the cost. The world has not suddenly become more intense. You have simply stopped being numb enough to move through it unconsciously. The fourth sign is loneliness that cannot be fixed by being around people. This is one of the hardest parts to explain. You may have friends, family, conversations, obligations, even affection around you, and still feel strangely alone. Not because nobody loves you, but because your inner world is changing faster than your surroundings can recognize. Awakening often creates a season where language lags behind experience. You feel things you cannot yet explain. You outgrow certain forms of connection before finding new ones. And so, the soul enters a corridor of solitude where it feels less socially satisfied, but more inwardly alert. This loneliness is painful, but it is not always abandonment. Sometimes it is the silence required for deeper recognition. The fifth sign is that truth starts mattering more than comfort. You become less able to lie to yourself, less willing to stay in what is convenient but false, less capable of using distraction as a permanent shelter. This does not mean you suddenly become pure, wise, or fearless. It means something in you has begun choosing honesty over anesthesia. And that changes everything. A person in awakening may lose tolerance for self-betrayal, before they gain a clear path forward. That is why this stage can feel messy. You start seeing what is wrong before you know how to live right. But even that discomfort is a sign of life. It means the soul has started preferring reality to illusion, even when reality is harder to survive in the short term. The sixth sign is moments of strange peace that arrive without logical reason. In the middle of confusion, grief, instability, or inner restructuring, there are sudden pockets of stillness. Not constant bliss, not permanent certainty, just brief moments where everything becomes quiet inside, even if nothing outside has changed. These moments matter because they remind the person that awakening is not only dismantling, it is also contact. Something deeper begins touching the soul through silence, insight, beauty, prayer, nature, music, tears, or even exhaustion. The peace may not stay long, but it comes often enough to make you wonder whether the collapse of the old self is also opening a door into something more real than the self you had before. The seventh sign is that your life begins reorganizing itself around what is real. This may happen slowly or violently. Certain relationships fade, certain habits become unbearable, certain desires lose power. New practices call to you. Stillness matters more. Prayer feels different. Solitude becomes medicine. Your priorities shift without asking permission from the version of you that once wanted other things. This is where awakening stops being just an internal feeling and starts changing your actual life. Not because you are trying to become more spiritual as an identity, but because your inner alignment is beginning to demand external honesty. Eventually, awakening always asks for embodiment. It is not enough to feel different. At some point, you have to live differently too. So if this is happening to you, do not panic too quickly. Awakening rarely feels like floating light, instant wisdom, or clean spiritual elevation. More often, it feels like disorientation, shedding, grief, clarity, sensitivity, and the loss of things you once thought you needed. That is why many people misread it. They call it burnout, failure, emotional instability, or emptiness, when in reality something deeper is trying to come alive beneath the collapse of what no longer fits. The soul does not awaken politely. It disrupts what is false. It loosens what is numb. It makes old identities harder to inhabit. And because of that, the beginning can feel like breakdown before it reveals itself as transformation. Maybe that is the real reason you feel strange and disconnected. Not because you are disappearing, but because the false version of you is losing control. Not because life is ending, but because a more conscious one is trying to begin. Spiritual awakening is not always mystical in the dramatic sense. Often it is painfully practical. It changes what you tolerate, what you desire, what you trust, what you can no longer fake, and what finally feels worthy of your attention. So if you feel disoriented, more sensitive, more alone, more honest, less entertained, more inwardly awake, and unable to return to the old level of sleep, do not ignore it. Something in you may be coming alive that was never meant to stay buried. See you in the next video, where the questions only get darker.